If you've ever used a guide in a game and felt a little weird about it, this video is just for you. You looked up a build, or googled a boss fight, or watched some guy spend 20 minutes explaining a mechanic you couldn't figure out, and now there's this nagging feeling in the back of your head like you've kind of cheated. I'm here to tell you that feeling is basically made up, and I'll explain why. But first, let's start with something obvious that somehow people forget when it comes to gaming. Using guides is just a human thing. It's not even about gaming, it's just how people work. If you buy IKEA furniture, you're gonna follow the manual. If you wanna learn how to play the guitar, you will look up some guides, you will get coached. Nobody's gonna tell you that you ruined your experience because you're getting coached on how to play the instrument. It's completely normal. But why does it feel different for gaming? Well, the part you actually enjoy might be different from everyone else. For you, it might be the combat, the story, the build, whatever it is. If looking something up skips the part that's boring to you and gets you back to the part that you actually like, well, that's just you knowing what you want. There's nothing wrong with that. A guide doesn't replace the game, it just removes the parts that you didn't care about anyway. Okay, now, where does the guilt actually come from? Well, there is a very specific type of person online or one of your friends who's gonna spend days, sometimes weeks, figuring something out, and instead of just being glad they figured it out, they're gonna low-key be annoyed that you can just look it up and spend 5 minutes on it, because if you can do that, what does that say about their week? And here's the funny part. When they sit you down and try to explain why you should figure out everything yourself, why you should play a certain way, avoid certain strategies, well, that's just a guide. They literally made a guide telling you not to use guides. Do not let that guy live rent-free in your head. It's not worth it. Okay, and here is the part that I actually find interesting, and I don't really see people talk about this. Sometimes following a guide can actually feel pretty bad. And most people are gonna assume that's proof that the guides are the problem. But I would argue it's almost never the guide's fault, it's gonna be the game's fault. Take Path of Exile 2 at launch for example. It was not a bad game, but it had a lot of problems. Barely any build diversity, very limited ways to farm currency, endgame felt pretty restrictive, so what did every guide say? Well, the same thing. One build, one strategy, no real debate, no alternatives. Following a guide felt like someone just explained the entire game to you in one sitting. Well, because kind of they did, but that's not on the guide. The guide just kinda revealed how little variety was actually there. Now look at it after a year of patches. Completely different. Tons of builds, multiple ways to play, people constantly figuring out new strategies and arguing about them online. Following a guide now is actually fun because the game gave guides is something interesting to say. League of Legends is actually a good example of this done right from the start. The meta shifts every patch, guides get written and immediately challenged, people are constantly finding new interactions, some weird off-meta stuff that somehow works, you follow a guide, try the build, you realize it doesn't quite fit how you play, you're gonna tweak it, and suddenly you're actually engaging with the game on a deeper level because of the guide and not despite of it. That's the difference. One thing worth saying though, some games, especially single player ones, just have one story, one path, one ending, and guides for those games are naturally gonna be a little more straightforward. And that's fine, that doesn't make the game bad. Some of the best games ever made are completely linear, but it also doesn't mean that if you're using a guide to skip a puzzle or to get through a section that you are having a problem with, you're doing something wrong. If you bought the game to have fun, you should enjoy it the way you like it. And for some people, banging your head against the wall for an hour trying to figure something out is just not fun. Okay, so here's where I'm at with all of this. If you wanna go into a new game completely blind, figure out everything yourself, earn every single discovery, do it. That's genuinely a great way to play and I get why people love it. But if you wanna have a guide open on your second monitor before you even finish the tutorial, that's also completely valid. What isn't fine is someone else deciding which one of those makes you a real gamer or whatever they say. That's just stupid. You're not cheating, you're not playing it wrong, you're just playing it your way.